We move through our days like there's always more of them. Seneca said life is long if you know how to use it. Most of us were never shown how. Distractions are everywhere, and they take our most precious thing, our time, which isn't endless. We end up busy but feeling empty. This isn't about endings in a dark way. It's a practical guide. There's a profound truth here, and it can reshape your life. By the end, you'll have 25 tools from Stoic wisdom. They're for reclaiming your attention, for aligning what you do each day with what actually matters. What if thinking about the limit of your life could bring more freedom, more purpose? What if you saw time not as an enemy to manage, but as a friend to cherish? We start with a simple practice. It's from the personal writer. Marcus Aurelius had this exercise. He was the emperor of Rome. He called it the view from above. You pull your perspective back, way back, until your whole life is just a point. In the sweep of time, you see your city, not as it is now, but as a layer. Built on other cities, other lives that came before, your century is a brief chapter in a story thousands of years long. From there, daily anxieties shrink. That embarrassing comment, the slight from a colleague, worrying about a haircut or a car, from that cosmic perspective, they lose their weight. They're like dust motes, swirling in a sunbeam, visible and then gone. He wrote about the endless procession, all the generations, people who lived, loved, struggled. Their dramas felt urgent, just like yours do, and now they are part of the soil. This isn't morbid, it's freeing. When you zoom out, you create space for a better question. Not, does this make me look bad, but does this build a life I can be proud of? Looking back from that height, take an hour, agonizing over a social media post, crafting the perfect image. It feels important now, but from the view of a century, what matters more? The likes on a Tuesday, or the kindness to a stranger? The integrity you kept, the character you built day by day, that character is the legacy, the only thing that echoes. So a practical prompt, think of a current worry. Something that feels large, immediate. Now take 3 steps back. First, to the end of this year. Will it still matter then? Second, to the end of your life. How significant from there? Finally, the full view from above. Your life as one thread in the tapestry of human history. From there, what do you see? What's truly worth your energy, your limited attention? This practice doesn't erase problems, it filters them. You invest your time only in what's substantial. What aligns with building something that lasts, even if that's just a life of quiet dignity and purpose. And this leads to the next meditation, which makes it all personal. The Stoics kept death at their desk. That was their second meditation, called Memento Mori. Remember, you must die, but for them, this wasn't morbid. It was a tool. A tool for gratitude, a quiet advisor for every decision, the ultimate filter for a life. Imagine a wise friend on your shoulder. Their only job is to ask one question in every moment of choice. Is this how you would spend your time if you knew your time was limited? That was the role it played, a mental companion, a perspective shifter. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. He wasn't suggesting despair, he was installing an urgency engine, a mechanism to cut through procrastination. Through pettiness, through the noise of 1,000 unimportant things. Seneca framed it another way. He said to treat each day as a complete life. You wake at dawn, that's your birth. You go through the day, that's your life. You go to sleep, that's your death. The wise person lives each day as if it were their last, yet plans as if they will live forever. That's the tension at the heart of it. You hold the end in mind, not to paralyze you, but to propel you, to make you appreciate the sunrise, to choose your words with more care, to engage fully in the work before you, because this particular day, this version of your life will never come again. So what does this look like now? The ancient Stoics might have kept a skull on their desk, a literal reminder. For us, it can be subtler, but just as powerful. It could be a phrase on your phone wallpaper. Not a dark image, words like, "Is this essential?" or "This day will not return." It could be a daily journal prompt, one line at the top of the page each morning. What would make today complete? Or, if today were my last, what one conversation would I have? The goal isn't to dwell on the end. It's to use the idea of an end to illuminate the middle. To make the life you're in right now feel more vibrant, more immediate, more real, here's a practical prompt, a way to bring this off the page. Before your day gets swept away, pause for a moment. Ask yourself one question. If I knew for certain that today was my last opportunity, what is the one thing I would absolutely do? It might not be grand. It might be a phone call to a parent. It might be starting that small creative project. It might be taking a long walk, truly noticing the trees. Identify that one thing. Then, with the awareness that your time is finite, do not let the day end without doing it. That's Memento Mori in action. It turns a philosophical idea into a lived experience. The reminder of an ending becomes fuel for a richer beginning. If you could see the sand left in your hourglass, would you change how you spend it? We act like time is endless, like a river that never stops. But the Stoics viewed it as the most limited thing we have. More than money, more than any object, time is what you can never get back. Seneca said it directly. He said people are careful with their possessions, but when it comes to wasting time, they are reckless with the one thing you should be tight-fisted about. We lock our doors, we put passwords on everything, we insure our things, but we leave our attention completely open, letting hours spill out into distractions that give nothing back. We plan our money with spreadsheets. We plan our time with just vague hopes and old habits. Imagine someone gave you a huge amount of money every morning. With one condition, whatever you didn't spend wisely by the end of the day would be gone. You wouldn't just watch it vanish, you'd make a plan, you'd set priorities. You'd make sure every coin went to something that mattered. But with our days, we do the opposite. We let the wealth of a morning fade into a haze of scrolling. We trade an afternoon's potential for worrying about things we can't change. That's the hourglass of life. The sand is always falling. You can't flip it and start over. Seneca noticed that life is long enough for what truly matters if we used it all well. But we lose so much of it through neglect. We put off our dreams for a tomorrow we think is promised. We fill our heads with other people's stories, with news that doesn't change us, with endless getting ready for a life we're not actually living. Staying busy becomes the trap. So here's a simple check, a way to see your own hourglass. Take one normal hour from your day, maybe the hour after dinner or the first hour at your desk. Now name each thing you do in that hour, not as good or bad, but as a deposit or a withdrawal from your life. A deposit adds to your purpose, your calm, your connection, your growth. Reading a book that changes your thinking is a deposit. A real talk with someone you love is a deposit. Working on something that fits your values is a deposit. A withdrawal just passes time. It numbs you or distracts you without giving anything back to who you are. Watching videos you won't recall is a withdrawal. Arguing online about nothing is a withdrawal. Worrying in loops about something you can't fix is a deep withdrawal. The point isn't to cut out all withdrawals. Everyone needs to rest. The point is to see the balance, to become aware of where your sand is flowing. Because once you see it, you can make a different choice. You can start to steer those grains toward building a life that feels solid, even in the quiet parts. That conscious choice is what changes the hourglass. From a sign of loss into something you can use. With every breath, you're living and you're dying. That's the rhythm. It's not a failure. The Stoics saw this as the fundamental truth. Dying isn't one event waiting at the finish line. It's the process you're in right now. This moment is part of it. The cells in your body renew and fade. Your thoughts from an hour ago are gone, replaced by new ones. The child you were has already passed away, replaced by the person listening now. To accept this is to live in accordance with nature. That's what they called it. It means embracing the whole cycle, not just the parts we call growth. Epictetus taught that we should welcome whatever the nature of the whole brings. We came from the elements, and to the elements we return. This gradual return is happening, in small ways all the time. When we resist this, when we fight change and aging, we create our own suffering. We mourn the loss of a younger face, quicker energy, as if it were a theft, but seen through this meditation, it's simply the flow, the river moving from its source to the sea. This perspective can change how we meet the milestones of our physical existence. A new line on the face becomes not a flaw, but a record of laughter and sunlight. Slowing down after an illness becomes not a defeat, but a lesson in listening to the body's needs. Even daily fatigue is not an enemy to conquer with caffeine. It's a signal, a gentle reminder from nature that this particular day's portion of energy has been spent, wisely spent. It asks for rest, for the quiet part of the cycle. So here's a reflective prompt, a way to bring this from philosophy into your own skin. Think of one aspect of your physical self that is undeniably changing. It could be your eyesight, requiring a little more light to read. It could be recovery time after exercise, no longer instantaneous. It could simply be the fact that you can't stay up all night anymore. Without consequence, instead of judging this change as good or bad, just observe it. What is it teaching you about presence? Perhaps it's teaching you to slow down, to savor the taste of your morning drink. Maybe it's showing you that strength is less about force and more about consistency. This gentle awareness of the process can turn what we fear into a guide. It pulls us back from worrying about a distant ending and into the richness of the middle, into the truth that to be alive is to be in motion, always becoming, always releasing, and in that truth there is a profound kind of freedom to be found. The Stoics had this view of life. They didn't see it as a prison sentence. They saw it as a guest appearance at a feast, a grand festival. This is the fifth meditation. It flips the entire perspective. Instead of just enduring, it's about joyful participation. And the key is acceptance. The festival has a closing time. The music will stop, but knowing that doesn't spoil the dance. It makes every step more precious. You're a visitor here, a limited engagement, so the question changes. It's not how long you can stay, it's how fully you can experience the show while you have your ticket. Epictetus put it beautifully. He said, remember, you're an actor in a play. The length is up to the director. Your job is to act well the part you're given. But he also spoke of life as a festival. He taught that when you leave, you should be grateful for what you experienced, not bitter that it's over. You came, you saw the sights, you tasted the food, you shared in the celebration, and when it's time to go, you leave with thanks for the host. This isn't about forced happiness. It's not about ignoring hardship. It's about recognizing the beauty, the opportunity woven into the very fact of being here. Marcus Aurelius reflected on the world as a kind of theater, a constantly changing spectacle of nature and human endeavor. He wrote to himself, everything is interwoven and the web is holy. You could see that as the festival itself. All of us connected in this temporary, magnificent gathering. So how do we live this now? Think of a modern experience you know is finite, a vacation to a beautiful place. You don't spend the days there obsessing over your inbox back home. You know you have only a week, so you savor the local food. You watch the sunset with your full attention. You linger in conversations. You are present because you know the clock is ticking, or a live concert. The band is on stage for a set amount of time. You don't sit there planning your grocery list. You lose yourself in the music, feeling the vibrations, sharing the energy with the crowd. you are fully there because you know it will end. This meditation asks us to apply that same festival mindset to the ordinary parts, the ongoing parts of our lives, the morning coffee, the commute where you see the same trees, the weekly dinner with your family. These are not mundane routines. They're not waiting for the real festival to start. They are the festival. They are the main event. The temporary guest appearance. So here's a reflective prompt. What festival are you currently taking for granted? Is it the festival of your health? Your ability to walk and breathe easily? Is it the festival of a relationship, having someone to share a quiet evening with? Is it the festival of a peaceful morning? With no immediate crisis, identify one, just one, and then ask, how could I celebrate that festival today? Not in a big, expensive way. Celebration can be quiet. It could mean pausing for 2 minutes to truly taste that coffee, feeling the warmth of the cup. It could mean sending a simple text to that person, just to say you're thinking of them. It could mean stepping outside for 5 minutes to actually feel the air on your skin. When you treat the ordinary as the temporary gift it is, the whole quality of your participation shifts. You stop waiting for life to happen and you start honoring the life that is already here. Some things are within our power, others are not. That's the dichotomy of control. It's the sixth meditation. You may not own your future, but you own your now. Epictetus started his handbook with this. He listed what's within our power: opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, our own actions, and what's not: our body, property, reputation, things that are not our own actions. He was drawing a map. Outside the line, that's the territory of events, delays, other people's opinions, the passage of time itself. You don't command that. Inside the line is your judgment of those events. Your focus, your intention right now, that's your sovereign domain. That's the ownership of moments. Time will flow, the clock will tick. That's external. You can't stop it, but where you place your attention as it flows, that's internal. That's yours. Think of a common frustration. You're driving to a meeting. Traffic stops, the jam, that's external, not within your power. You can honk, you can rage, you can check the map. The cars will move when they move. That reality is outside the line. Now look inside. Your internal experience of those 20 stalled minutes, that is within your power. You can choose to fume. Let anger flood your system. Rehearse your excuse. That's a choice. Or you can own the moment differently. Take a breath. Accept the delay as a fact. Turn on an audiobook. Call a relative. Use the time to mentally outline your talk. The traffic hasn't changed, but the ownership of your experience within it has shifted. You reclaimed those minutes from frustration, invested them in something of value. That's the practice. It applies to every stolen moment, the long line at the store, the waiting room, the boring part of a task. The external circumstance is just the setting. Your judgment of it, your engagement, is the story you write. When you focus on trying to control what you cannot, you feel helpless. Your time feels wasted. When you focus on commanding what you can, your own mind, you feel agency. Even in delay, even in difficulty, your time becomes yours again. So here's a prompt. Identify one external circumstance you're fighting right now, a person's difficult behavior, a slow-moving project, the weather canceling plans, name it. That's outside the line. Now identify one internal response you can choose to own instead. Maybe it's your patience, choosing calm over irritation. Maybe it's your curiosity, deciding to learn from it, not just endure it. Maybe it's just your breath. Taking 3 slow breaths when the resistance rises. That choice, that small internal command, is where you take ownership of the moment. You stop the leak of your energy into things you can't change. You redirect it into the one thing you always can, your own presence. When you're gone, what's going to linger, what you did or who you were? This is the 7th meditation. It asks us to look somewhere else. We usually think about legacy as monuments, a building with your name, a list of accomplishments, the wealth you gathered. The Stoics had a different measure, one that's always available. They called it virtue, arete, excellence of character. For them, that was the only real good. Not because it got you praise, but because it was the one thing you could always work on, no matter what happened. A rich person can be corrupt. A powerful person can be cruel. But a person of good character, their worth is inside. That worth is your real legacy. It's what people feel long after the details of your resume are forgotten. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, wrote to himself, "You'll leave behind even what you've achieved. That's not in your power, but the life you've lived, you can leave that behind. That is in your power." He wasn't talking about a biography. He meant the quality of your presence, the integrity in your actions, the kindness you put into ordinary moments. That life lived well, that's the monument. Seneca said something similar. He focused on quality, not quantity. He said it's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. A life spent becoming a person of courage, justice, wisdom, moderation that's long enough because it's full. Focusing on character makes every interaction matter. No matter how long you live, you don't need decades to be patient with a frustrated child. You don't need a grand stage to be honest when a cashier gives you too much change. You don't need a long life to offer a real word of encouragement to someone. In those small, unseen choices, your legacy is being written. It's the quiet building of integrity, day after day. Now contrast that with chasing external fame. Chasing the applause of the crowd is like building on sand. The crowd's mood changes. Today's hero is tomorrow's footnote. But the respect you earn through consistent character, that has a different weight. It's built stone by stone, in private, in your own choices. It's the trust your friends have in your word. The calm your family feels around you. The dignity you keep even when no one is watching. So here's something to consider. Which single trait of your character would you most want to be remembered for? Is it your courage, your compassion, your honesty, your resilience? Pick just one. Then think of one small, concrete thing you could do today that builds that specific trait. If you chose compassion, maybe it's listening to someone fully without jumping in to give advice. If you chose integrity, it might be admitting a small mistake you'd rather hide. If you chose resilience, it could be choosing to start again on something after a setback without criticizing yourself. That small act isn't insignificant. It's the direct construction of your monument. The legacy of character isn't built in one final, grand gesture. It's assembled moment by moment in the quality of your attention and the intention behind your smallest deeds. Life is a flowing river. That's what the Stoics said. You can't step into the same river twice. New water is always coming. That was their 8th meditation from Heraclitus. It's a powerful image for time. The river never stops. The water you're looking at right now is already gone, replaced. The bank you're standing on is changing, grain by grain. This moment, as you hear this, is already moving past. Trying to hold onto any of it is like grabbing river water. It slips through your fingers. You're just left with the wetness. Marcus Aurelius thought about this flow all the time. He wrote that time is a river of passing events. Its current is strong. Something appears and then it's swept away. Something else takes its place and that gets swept away too. He wasn't being pessimistic. He was just describing reality. Everything is becoming and passing away. Your joy, your pain, your situation, even yourself, all of it is part of the current. This meditation is a remedy for two things that steal peace: clinging to the past and fearing the future. Both are attempts to stand still in a river that won't stop. Say you did something great last year, a promotion, a success, it felt solid. You might go back to that memory, wanting that feeling again, but the river has moved. You aren't the same person who did that. The world isn't the same. Clinging to it is like anchoring yourself to a bank that's gone. You miss the new things flowing past you now, or dreading something next week, a hard conversation. You rehearse it in your mind, feeling the anxiety now, but that future isn't real. It's a story. The river hasn't gotten there yet. Fixating on it is like trying to live in a part of the river that doesn't exist. You sacrifice the actual moment for a phantom. The Stoic practice is to recognize the flow, acknowledge the past, then release it, prepare for the future, then release the outcome. Your power is only in your relationship to the present current. You can choose to swim with awareness, navigate the rocks, feel the sun on the water here. You can't command the river's direction, but you can choose how you meet each new stretch of water. So here's a way to feel this. Name one thing you're holding onto from the past. Something the river has already carried away, an old identity, the athlete you were, the top student, a past relationship that defined you, a regret you replay. Just name it quietly. Now imagine putting that thing on a leaf and setting that leaf on a wide, calm river. Watch it drift. It gets smaller, the details blur. It's carried around a bend, out of sight. It's part of your story, but it's not the water you're swimming in now. The current you're in is different. It has its own possibilities. This release isn't forgetting, it's making space to engage with what is actually here. Death is the final editor. We can learn to edit now. That's the art of subtraction. It's not about loss, it's about making room. When you know your time is limited, you get ruthless about what occupies it. You start to see the clutter, the commitments that drain you, the possessions that demand your care, the worries that circle without purpose. Mortality gives you the courage to say no. To clear the stage so the main performance can be seen. The Stoics understood this simplicity. Seneca wrote letters about it. He said it's not the person who has too little who is poor, but the person who craves more. He saw desire as the burden, the constant wanting of the next thing, the better version, the fuller schedule. That wanting keeps you distracted from the life you already have. Musonius Rufus took it further. He argued for the value of hardship, not because suffering is good, but because simplicity reveals strength. When you strip away the non-essential, you meet your real self. You find out what you're capable of without the props. This isn't about living in an empty room. It's about living with intention. Knowing life is short clarifies what's necessary. It answers the question, necessary for what? Necessary for a life of virtue, for peace, for connection, for meaningful work. If something doesn't serve that, it's just noise. It's a page the editor would cut. So how do you become that editor? You practice a mortality-based purge, a conscious review. You take one area, start with your calendar. Look at the next month. For every commitment, every meeting, every social obligation, ask a filter question. If I knew my time was more limited than I think, would I still say yes to this? Does this align with my core values, or is it just a habit? A duty born of people-pleasing? You'll see some things stand out as clear yeses. Others will feel heavy, like obligations you've outgrown. The goal isn't to cancel everything. It's to see the difference and then, with the editor's pen, to start crossing out what no longer belongs. Do the same with physical possessions. Walk through your home, look at your shelves, your closet, not with judgment but with the editor's eye. Does this object support the life I want to live, or does it maintain a life I've moved past? Does it bring joy or utility, or does it just take up space and mental energy? The Stoic aim is to own things, not to be owned by them. Each item you release is a sentence you've deleted, making the remaining story more potent. Finally, apply it to your thoughts. Review your recurring worries, the mental loops about the future, about what others think. Ask the same filter. If my time is precious, is this thought worth the real estate it's taking up? Does it lead to any action, any improvement, or does it just spin? Subtracting a worry might mean consciously replacing it. When you notice it start, you deliberately turn your attention to a single, present moment sensation. The feeling of your feet on the floor, the sound of your breath. You edit out the noise and insert a moment of calm. So here is your edit for this week. Subtract just one thing, one commitment you can gracefully bow out of, one physical item you can give away, or one recurring worry you can decide to drop each time it arises. Don't try to overhaul your whole life at once. Just make one clean cut, one deletion. Notice the space that opens up. That space isn't empty. It's where your attention can now live. It's where your next meaningful action can begin. Your life is short, and also, in this moment, it's endless. That's the 10th meditation. It seems like a contradiction. But it's a truth the Stoics held. The length of your life is limited, unknown, but the depth of the present moment, that's boundless. It's the only place life is actually lived. Not in the memory of yesterday, that's gone. Not in the anticipation of tomorrow, that isn't here yet. Right here, between your breaths, that's where existence happens. And this moment is always accessible. You can always return to it. It's the only piece of time fully under our influence. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "Do every act as if it were your last," but he also said something else. Concentrate every minute like a Roman on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness. That's the key. He wasn't telling himself to be frantic. He was instructing himself to be fully present to the task at hand, whether that was judging a legal case, writing in his journal, or simply walking across the palace grounds. The present action was the only thing he could ever truly command. Epictetus taught a similar focus. He said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish. Wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well." This is about accepting the present impression, the current circumstance, without immediately layering on a story of how it should be different. Your power lies in working with what is actually here. Right now, contrast that with how we often operate. We live in the hypothetical future. We're physically in a conversation, but mentally we're rehearsing what we'll say next. We're eating a meal, but our mind is already solving a problem for tomorrow's meeting. We're taking a walk, but we're listening to a podcast while planning our weekend. We split our attention, believing we're being efficient, but we're missing the very substance of our lives. The future we're planning for will, when it arrives, be just another present moment. That we'll likely miss in the same way. It becomes a cycle of absence. A practical example is the simple act of listening. Think of a time someone was speaking to you about something important to them. Were you fully there, or was part of your mind crafting your response, looking for the right advice to give, maybe even waiting for a pause so you could share your own related story? That's living in the hypothetical future. The Stoic practice of the infinite present would be to let all of that go, to listen with your whole attention. To hear not just their words but the feeling behind them, to see the expressions on their face, to be a silent, receptive space for their experience. In that focused listening, time seems to expand. The moment becomes rich, connected, deeply real. That's the infinite quality of the now. So here's a reflective prompt. A direct way to touch this truth. I'll instruct you, and you can do this as you listen or right after. Pause for just 1 minute. Fully immerse yourself in your current sensory experience. Don't label it or judge it. Just notice. What do you see? The play of light on a surface, the texture of a wall, the color of an object. What do you hear? The distant hum of appliances, the sound of your own breath, perhaps birds outside. What do you feel physically? The weight of your body in the chair, the temperature of the air on your skin, the fabric of your clothes. For 1 minute, let your attention rest completely in these simple, immediate sensations. If your mind wanders to a past worry or a future plan, gently bring it back to a sound, a sight, a feeling. This 1 minute of pure presence is a pocket of infinity. It's a direct experience of the only time that is ever truly yours. Think of your years not as something you own, more like a loan, something precious that's been lent to you. That's the 11th meditation. It's a shift in how you see things. You move from feeling like a possessor to feeling like a steward. You don't own your life, not like you own a pair of shoes. You're its temporary custodian. It's been entrusted to you by nature or by chance, by whatever you believe started all this, and like any valuable loan, it comes with a responsibility. To use it well, to maintain it, to return it eventually in the best condition you can. That perspective, it dissolves entitlement, that feeling that the world owes you more time, more comfort. Instead, it builds a kind of active gratitude. You didn't earn this breath, it was given. This day wasn't a right, it was an offering. Your job is to be a good steward of that gift. The Stoics spoke about this. They talked about it in terms of the elements. Marcus Aurelius wrote that soon you'll be ashes or a skeleton, and maybe a name or not even a name. But the name is just sound, an echo. The things we value so much in life, he said, they're empty, they're rotten, they're trifling. That sounds stark. But if you read it with the lens of stewardship, he's not dismissing life's value. He's clarifying what's actually on loan. The body, your reputation, your possessions, those are the temporary materials. They're like the library book, the core you, your capacity for reason and virtue. That's what you use to engage with the loan. Your character is how you take care of it. Seneca framed it as a return. He wrote that we are born unequal, but we die equal. We come from different places, but we go to the same place. He saw life as a stay at an inn. You're a traveler, a guest. You don't rebuild the inn. You don't demand it conform to your every whim. You accept its hospitality, you respect the rules, and you prepare to continue your journey when it's time. So what does this look like in practice? Imagine borrowing a rare book, a first edition from a library. You wouldn't toss it on a damp floor. You wouldn't scribble in the margins carelessly. You'd handle it with respect. You'd read it with attention, knowing you have to give it back so someone else can read it later. You'd protect it. You'd make the most of the time you have with it. Your life is that book. Your body is the physical copy. Your mind is the reader. Your actions are the notes you take. The loan period is unknown, but the return is certain. This shifts every choice. Neglecting your health isn't just a personal failing. It's poor stewardship of the physical vehicle you were given. Wasting your talents in fear isn't just a missed opportunity. It's a failure to use the loan for its potential purpose. Damaging a relationship in a moment of pride isn't just an argument. It's mistreating one of the most valuable parts of the entire borrowed experience. That leads to a question, a reflective prompt. What part of your loan are you currently neglecting or misusing? Be honest but gentle. Is it the loan of your physical health? Are you fueling the body with constant stress and poor food? Treating it like a rental car you can abuse? Is it the loan of a key relationship? Are you taking a partner, a parent, a friend for granted, as if their presence is a permanent fixture you don't need to tend? Is it the loan of a specific talent, a capacity for writing or building or listening, that you're leaving on a shelf unused, gathering dust? Identify just one. Don't judge it, just see it as a steward would. An area of the garden that needs tending. Then make one small, deliberate act of stewardship today. If it's health, it could be a 20-minute walk. Not as punishment, but as maintenance. If it's a relationship, it could be a message, one that says, I was just thinking of you, with no ask attached. If it's a talent, it could be 15 minutes practicing it for no audience, just for the sake of honoring the loan. That act, it changes the relationship. From owner to caretaker, and a good caretaker finds a quiet dignity in the work, a profound purpose in the work itself. In the Roman catacombs, you see the Great Equalizer. Those underground passages with all their resting places, they held the remains of senators right next to street vendors. Wealth might buy a more ornate niche, but it couldn't buy an exemption. Everyone in time made that same journey. This was the 12th meditation, a contemplation on equality before the end. It wasn't meant to frighten, it was meant to free you, to dissolve those artificial hierarchies we build everything on. When you really take in that the same outcome awaits the billionaire and the barrister, the celebrity and the custodian, A certain kind of social noise just falls away. The distinctions we scramble for, job titles, follower counts, the car, they're revealed as temporary costumes. In a play where every actor takes the same final bow, Marcus Aurelius, the man who commanded legions, he reminded himself of this constantly. He wrote that Alexander the Great and his mule driver both came to the same end. They were both taken back into the same generative reason of the universe. He wasn't dismissing Alexander's accomplishments, but he was putting them in their proper, finite container. All the conquered lands, all the fame, it didn't alter the fundamental human condition. Seneca echoed this. He reflected on the common fate. He noted that the same night awaits us all. The same law of nature binds the emperor and the exile, and in the face of that shared horizon, the pride of comparison loses its power. The sting of envy loses its power. Why envy someone's larger villa when you both will, one day, leave every wall behind? Why feel superior because of your faster chariot when the road ends at the same gate? For every traveler, this meditation is a direct antidote to two poisons of modern life: status anxiety and the pride of comparison. It works on both ends. When you scroll through a feed, all that curated perfection, the dream vacations, the professional triumphs, and you feel that familiar twinge of lack. Apply the filter of shared mortality. That person whose life seems so charmed is navigating the same fundamental human journey as you. They experience doubt. They experience loss and the quiet fears that come with being alive. Their highlight reel doesn't change that. Their path, like yours, is finite. Envy is a waste of your attention, a distraction from tending to your own real garden. And then, conversely, when you catch yourself feeling a flicker of superiority, because your home is tidier, or your knowledge more specialized, or your tastes more refined, the same filter applies. The person you look down upon carries the same weight of consciousness, the same capacity for joy and pain, and they face the same ultimate transition. That recognition is the foundation of genuine dignity for them and for you. It replaces judgment with a quieter, more solid respect. So here's a way to ground this. Identify one person. It could be someone you secretly envy, a colleague with a quicker promotion, an acquaintance with a seemingly easier path, or it could be someone you instinctively look down upon. Maybe someone whose views you find simplistic or whose lifestyle choices you judge. Hold that person in your mind. Now, consciously reframe that relationship through the lens of shared mortality. Remember that they, like you, are a temporary consciousness, navigating a brief, beautiful, and difficult existence. They, like you, will one day lay down their burdens. In that vast, leveling truth, does the envy still feel sharp? Does the judgment still feel justified? This isn't about forcing false camaraderie. It's about seeing past the costume to the actor beneath. And in doing so, finding a more peaceful place within your own role. The Stoics expected death. They trained for it. That's the 13th meditation, the prepared mind. That's where philosophy turns into something practical. They had an exercise, the premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of troubles. It sounds dark, but the purpose is the opposite. It's an inoculation. You give your mind a small, controlled dose of a difficult thought, so if reality ever brings a larger dose, you aren't overwhelmed. You've built antibodies for mortality. It wasn't about dwelling on the graphic details. It was rehearsing acceptance. Seneca practiced this. He would set aside time to imagine losing his possessions, his status, his friends, even his own life. He didn't do it to make himself miserable. He did it for two reasons. First, to appreciate what he had right then. By imagining its absence, he felt its value more sharply in the present. And second, to reduce the terror of losing it. By facing the idea voluntarily, he stripped its power to ambush him. That's the core of the prepared mind. You don't wait for the storm to learn how to sail. You practice in calm waters. You map the routes. You check the rigging. So when the wind rises, your movements are deliberate, not panicked. There's a modern version of this, mental rehearsal. Athletes use it. A skier before a race closes their eyes and visualizes the whole course. Every turn, every jump, they feel the snow, they see the gates. They aren't being pessimistic, they're preparing their neural pathways so their body knows what to do when the moment comes. The Stoic applies that same technique to life's inevitable challenges. Take a modern example, not death, but a significant disruption, something like an unexpected job loss. Most of us fear that. The thought can trigger immediate anxiety, a rush of what-ifs. The prepared mind approach is different. You set aside a few minutes in a quiet space. You don't catastrophize, you just walk through the scenario step by step, focusing on your response. You imagine getting the news. You notice the initial shock, the sinking feeling. You allow that feeling without fighting it. Then you move to the next step. What's the first, most rational action? Updating your resume, reaching out to your network. You imagine doing those things calmly. You consider the temporary adjustments, a tighter budget, more time at home. You see yourself navigating those adjustments with patience. You focus not on the injustice of the event, but on the virtue of your response, your resilience, your pragmatism, your capacity to adapt. By mentally rehearsing this, you accomplish something. You separate the external event from your internal command center. The event might happen or not, but your ability to respond with character gets stronger just through the rehearsal. You've visited that possible future and mapped a path of dignity through it. The unknown loses some of its fangs. Here's a prompt, a direct application. Try it either now or right after. Set aside just 2 minutes. In a calm state, bring to mind a significant potential loss. It could be the end of a relationship, a health challenge, a financial reversal. Choose one that feels real but not overwhelming. For those 2 minutes, walk through it with the Stoic goal of preparation. Imagine the scenario unfolding, but as you do, pay attention to this question. What core values would remain unshakable, no matter what was lost? Would your capacity for courage remain? Your sense of humor, your ability to be kind to a stranger, your appreciation for a simple sunrise, your integrity. The goal isn't to feel the fear of the loss. It's to discover beneath that fear the bedrock that cannot be taken. Those are your true possessions. The prepared mind knows that while fortune can take away almost everything, it cannot touch your ability to choose your stance. To meet whatever comes with a clarity you've practiced in advance. Death is the fixed point. It's what gives leverage to every choice you make. In physics, a lever needs a fulcrum, a point that doesn't move. Without that, you're just pushing on a stick. Mortality is that fulcrum for your life. It's the undeniable limit, and that limit gives every decision its weight. When you know your story has a final chapter, every sentence you write before it matters more. A trivial choice in an endless life might not mean much, but in a finite one, it becomes a brick in a wall you're building, and the wall will be complete one day. So the question is, what kind of structure are you creating? With each brick you lay, the Stoics had a word for this: proherses, your faculty of moral choice, your capacity to judge, to intend, to decide your response. They saw this as the very essence of a person, not your body which ages, not your possessions which can be lost, but this inner citadel of choice. Epictetus was born into servitude. He taught this is the one thing that is truly ours, that cannot be taken. You can chain my leg, he said, but not my will. You can take my life, but you cannot force me to choose cowardice. Even facing the end, your final choice, how you meet it, remains yours. That's the inviolable core. Mortality doesn't threaten it, it highlights it. It puts a spotlight on the stage, where you are the only actor who can deliver your lines. Think of it like this. You have a project with a firm deadline, unmovable. A year from now, it must be complete. That deadline changes everything. It forces you to prioritize. It makes you ask, is this task moving the project forward, or is it just busy work? Now translate that to your life, the ultimate deadline, unknown but certain. It does the same thing. It asks you to audit your choices. Is this grudge I'm holding moving my life's project forward? Is this hour of mindless scrolling contributing to the structure I want to leave behind? Let's make it practical with 2 small bricks. First, the choice to forgive a long-held grudge. It feels small, internal. Maybe you choose to simply release the narrative of injury. Not even tell the other person. That choice in the moment feels like nothing, but place it against the fulcrum of your limited time. Its weight changes. That grudge is a heavy, misshapen brick. It distorts the wall. Choosing to set it down frees your hands. It frees your attention. It lets you use that emotional space for something else. A connection, a creative thought, a moment of peace. That one internal choice reshapes the entire day, and the days that follow. Second, the choice to procrastinate. On a meaningful project, the book you want to write, the skill you want to learn, the conversation you need to have, you choose to put it off for one more day. That seems harmless, there's always tomorrow, but with the fulcrum in place, that choice carries a different weight. You are not just delaying a task. You are spending one of your finite days not building that part of your wall. The wall will be complete, whether that section is beautifully crafted or left as an empty gap. The leverage of mortality asks, if not today, then which day? If you keep choosing the distraction over the building, the wall will tell that story. So here's a way to feel this leverage. Before you make a choice, think ahead to tomorrow. Identify one small, ordinary choice you know you will face. It might be the choice to hit snooze or get up early to read. The choice to make a healthy lunch or grab fast food. The choice to call an old friend or assume you're too busy. The choice to speak with kindness in a frustrating moment or to snap. Now hold that small choice in your mind and place it against the fulcrum. Ask yourself, if I saw this single choice as a brick in the finite wall of my life, would I choose differently? What quality does that brick have? Is it one of discipline, of health, of connection, of patience? Or is it one of neglect, of haste, of isolation, of reactivity? You don't need to overhaul your whole life tonight. Just see the weight in one brick, and tomorrow, when that moment arrives, remember the wall you are building. One conscious choice at a time. Life is like a stone thrown into a pond. The splash is short, but the ripples keep moving out long after the stone is gone. This is the 15th meditation. It asks us to look past our own horizon, to see that our actions, our words, even our quiet thoughts, they don't end with us. They join a chain of cause and effect. It goes into a future we won't see. The Stoics had a word for this connectedness, sympatheia, the idea that everything in the universe is woven into one living fabric. A pull on one thread sends a vibration through the whole thing. Your thread matters. The quality of what you do, the character you show, it doesn't just affect you. It sends a signal into the weave. Marcus Aurelius thought about this all the time. He wrote that what isn't good for the hive isn't good for the bee. He saw himself not as a lone emperor, but as a limb of a larger body. To act against that body, he said, was to act against his own nature. He told himself to do every act as if it were his last, but also as an act for the common good, because in that view, your real self-interest is tied to the good of the whole. When you act with virtue, you strengthen the whole web. When you act with vice, you weaken a part of it, and that weakening or that strengthening, it echoes. Think of a teacher from your past, not necessarily in a classroom. It could be a coach, a grandparent, a mentor at a first job, someone whose few words of encouragement or whose example of patience changed your path in a small, permanent way. That person probably had no idea of the impact they were having right then. They were just living what they believed, but the ripple from that stone they cast, maybe decades ago, it's still moving. It reached you, and now through your own actions that ripple keeps going. It might shape how you talk to your child or how you advise a colleague. That teacher's single act of attention created an echo through you. Or take a simpler moment. You're in a coffee shop. You choose to give a real smile and a thank you to the tired barista. It's a tiny virtue, a small recognition of their humanity. You leave and never think of it again, but what you can't see is the chain you might have started. That barista, feeling seen, might carry a slightly lighter mood into their next interaction. They might be more patient with the next customer. That customer, getting that patience, might carry that calm home to their family instead of frustration. A single, kind glance can start a cascade of better moments in people you'll never meet. This isn't mystical. It's the practical physics of how people interact. Our emotional states are contagious. Our actions are seeds. The opposite is true, of course. A moment of cruelty, of harsh judgment, of dishonesty, it sends its ripple too. It poisons the well, even if just by a drop. But this meditation asks us to focus on our agency, on our chance to cast stones that make rings of clarity, of dignity, of good. So here's a way to bring this big idea close. Before today ends, ask yourself one question. What kind of ripple do I want to create today with one single action? It doesn't have to be grand. It could be the ripple of patience by listening to someone without interrupting. It could be the ripple of integrity by admitting a mistake openly. It could be the ripple of courage by speaking up for what's right in a small meeting. Or it could be the ripple of simple appreciation by writing 2 sentences of thanks to someone who helped you, even if it was long ago. Choose one ripple. Then, with the awareness that this action is your stone cast into the pond, perform it. Do it not for the applause, not even for the visible result. Do it for the sake of the weave itself, for the signal it sends into the connected whole. You may never see where those ripples go, but you can know for certain that you added a vibration of good to the fabric of things. And in that knowing, your brief splash takes on a meaning that goes beyond the clock. Seneca asked that question almost 2,000 years ago. How much of your life are you postponing? It gets at a quiet tragedy, the unlived life inside you, all those parts waiting, your talents, your affections, those quiet curiosities, they stay there. Gathering dust because you tell yourself, someday I'll start, someday I'll say it, someday I'll go, and mortality is the antidote to that. It reminds you. Someday is a story, it's not a promise. Seneca wrote about this. He wrote letters. He saw a kind of gentle urgency. He noticed people are frugal with their money. They guard it, but with time they are prodigal. They waste it, and time is the one thing you can never recover. You can earn more money. You can't earn more time, so he saw this procrastination of living as the greatest waste, putting off your life until conditions are perfect. It's like waiting for the ocean to be calm before you learn to sail, but the ocean is never perfectly calm, and so you never learn, you never sail. This is about a potential regret, not for things done wrong. For things left undone, dying with your music still inside you. That's the love you didn't express out of fear of rejection. It's the creative project you didn't start because it might not be perfect. It's the journey you didn't take because the unfamiliar was scary. All of it deferred for a future that isn't guaranteed. You save these experiences like a fine bottle of wine for a special occasion. But what if the special occasion is today, and you're saving it for a day that never comes? You see common forms of this: the creative project, the book, the painting, the song, the business idea. It lives in your head, fully formed, brilliant. But on the page, it might be imperfect, so you wait for more skill, for more time, for a sign, or the relationship left unmended, a misunderstanding. A friend you drifted from. You think, I'll reach out next month when I'm less busy, when I have the right words, or the experience you deny yourself. Learning an instrument, visiting a place, taking a class just for joy, you tell yourself it's not practical, it's a luxury for later. The Stoic insight is that this waiting, it's a form of self-betrayal. You trade the real, imperfect present for a hypothetical, perfect future, and in that trade you lose the only currency you have. The current day. So here's a challenge, a reflective prompt. Name one thing you've been saving for later, one piece of music still inside. Be specific. Is it reconnecting with an old friend? Is it writing the first chapter? Is it finally booking that ticket? Say it to yourself. Now commit to one step. One tiny, concrete step this week. Not the whole thing, just a step. If it's reconnection, the step is finding their contact, drafting a simple message. You don't have to send it yet, just draft it. If it's the creative project, the step is 15 minutes with a blank page, no goal of producing anything good. Just making a mark. If it's the experience, the step is researching it for 10 minutes, looking at maps, reading one article. The step itself is the victory. It moves the intention from the realm of someday into the territory of now. It's a signal to yourself that the music matters enough to be played, however quietly. Today, because this week is not a rehearsal, it is the performance. The Stoics had this idea: you could live a full life in just one day if you spent it right. This meditation takes that big, lifelong project and shrinks it down to a sunrise, to 24 hours. You can fit the whole arc inside a single day. Waking up is the birth. Everything you do that day, that's your life. Evening is the gentle closing, and then sleep, that's the letting go, the death of that particular day. When you look at it like that, something shifts. You stop waiting for meaning to arrive later. You see it can be meaningful now in the choices of this cycle. This is a direct practice for when life feels like it's rushing by in a blur. If you see your existence as one long line, days can slip into sameness. You postpone things, joy, effort, connection. But if you see each day as its own complete story, you pay a different kind of attention. You ask a different question in the morning. Not how do I get through this, but how can this day by itself be a good life? Seneca pushed this view. He wrote that you should treat each day as a separate life. He said to go to bed each night as if you were finishing your existence, not with fear, with a sense of completion. He asked, can you lay your head down and say, I have lived? Today, I have lived. This wasn't about a to-do list. It was about the quality of his engagement. Did he use his reason well? Did he act with justice? Did he face things with courage? Did he appreciate what was in front of him? If he could say yes, then that day was a success, a complete miniature life lived well. The practical tool for this is the nightly review. The Stoics called it the examination of conscience. It's a quiet conversation with yourself at the end of the day. You look back over the hours, not to tally productivity, to judge your own character. You ask gentle, honest questions. Where did I act in line with my values? Where did I fall short? Where did I waste my attention on things I can't control? The goal isn't punishment, it's calibration, it's learning, so tomorrow's miniature life can be lived with a bit more awareness. A bit more virtue. Think of it like reviewing game film. An athlete doesn't watch to beat themselves up. They watch to see patterns, to spot the moment they hesitated. Or the move that worked. Your day is your film. You review the plays. That moment you snapped at someone, what triggered it? Could you have paused, chosen patience? That time you worked on something meaningful instead of scrolling. What made that choice possible? How did it feel? That small kindness you offered a stranger, why did you do it? How did it affect you? This review turns experience into wisdom. It closes the loop on the day's life, gives it a narrative, a meaning. So here's a way to bring this into your hands. Design an ideal day, but with a constraint. It has to be within the reality of your current life, not a fantasy. Your ideal Tuesday with your real job, your real responsibilities. The focus isn't on productivity alone, it's on virtue and presence. What would make this single day feel like a complete good life? Start with the dawn. Your birth, how would you wake to honor the beginning? Maybe with a moment of silence before the phone, a conscious breath, then the day's life. Weave in moments of the 4 cardinal virtues. A moment of courage sending that difficult email you've avoided. A moment of justice fairly dividing a task. A moment of temperance enjoying a meal without distraction. A moment of wisdom spending 20 minutes learning something that interests you. Include a moment of deep connection, a real conversation, and a moment of simple appreciation. Noticing the sky, the taste of water, finally the evening, your closing. How would you wind down this miniature life with grace, maybe with your own brief review? Acknowledging what was good, learning from what was hard, then letting it go as you prepare for sleep, the gentle death of that day. You might not live this perfect day tomorrow. But by designing it, you plant a seed. You define what a well-lived day means to you, and tomorrow you can try to live just one part of it, one moment of presence. One act of quiet virtue, that's how you build a meaningful life, not in decades, in days, one complete miniature life at a time. Leaves fall to nourish the soil. That's the cycle. It's not a tragedy, it's the engine of life. This 18th meditation asks you to see the whole cosmos that way, a living system. Constant transformation, your existence and its end are part of that process. The Stoics called it the logos, the generative fire, the intelligent principle that orders everything and renews everything. From here, death isn't annihilation, it's a return, it's making room so new forms can emerge. The elements in you, earth, water, air, warmth, they were borrowed from the world. And in time they are returned to be woven into something else, a tree, a cloud, another living being. You are not erased, you are recycled by a universe that wastes nothing. Marcus Aurelius returned to this. He wrote to steady his mind. He said everything exists for a purpose, a horse, a vine. Why wonder? Even the sun will say, I exist for a purpose. And so do you. What is yours? He saw himself as a brief part of a vast whole. And for the whole to be healthy, the parts must change. Old cells make way for new. Forests burn to clear space for seedlings. Our individual passing is part of that same rhythm. He reminded himself, you have functioned as a part. You will be absorbed back into your cause. This wasn't a cold dismissal. It was a recognition of our place in something eternal and ever-creating. This view can be a gentle balm in grief when a loss feels like a cruel subtraction. The Stoic lens doesn't ask you to not feel it. The love is real, the missing is real, but it offers another layer, to see that person not as gone into nothing, but as returned to the nature they came from. Their energy rejoining the cycle, their physical form resting becomes part of the earth that feeds flowers. Their memory becomes part of the love that shapes those left behind. This is reintegration, not an end, a transformation, a changing of form within an unbroken whole. To feel this, try something, a simple exercise. Sometime today, go outside. Or look out a window, find something in nature that is decaying or passing. A fallen leaf turning brown, a piece of fruit softening, a log being reclaimed by moss. Don't look away, observe it closely. See it not as a failure, not as something sad. See it as a participant in a necessary process. This decay is food. It is shelter for insects. It is the breaking down of materials so new ones can be built. This is the logos at work, the cycle of giving and receiving. Of form and release. Now hold that observation and bring it inward. Can you see your own life with its transitions as part of that same process, the aging of your body? The closing of chapters, even the ultimate return. Can these be seen not as theft but as participation? This shift doesn't remove the sting, but it can surround the sting with meaning. It can replace a story of emptiness with one of continuity. You are a leaf on a great, ancient tree. Your time to fall will come. and your falling will make the soil rich for leaves yet to bud. If you make your peace depend on something that hasn't happened yet, you're choosing to be poor right now. You're holding your own well-being hostage to things you can't control. The Stoics had a word for their goal, eudaimonia, a deep sense of flourishing, and they were very clear. This flourishing isn't some prize you get later. It's how you walk the path. It comes from virtue, from the quality of your character, your judgments in this moment. Things like a promotion or a certain amount of money, those aren't stable. They're gifts from fortune. They can be given and they can be taken away. Mortality shows how fragile all future plans are. It asks a sharp question: what if that when never comes? What if you spend your life waiting at a station for a train that isn't on the schedule? You trade the rich reality of today for a phantom tomorrow. Epictetus put it simply. He said happiness and freedom start with understanding one thing: some things are up to us and some things are not. Your judgments, your desires, your actions, those are yours. External events, what other people think, future outcomes, those are not. So, he said, make your happiness depend entirely on what is within your control. On your own virtue and reason. If you tie your contentment to getting a new job, you've handed the keys to your peace to a hiring manager you've never met. If you link it to someone else's approval, you've made yourself their emotional servant. The Stoic practice is to unhook your joy from those external hooks and anchor it inside your own reasoned choice. We see this pattern everywhere. I'll be happy when I get the promotion, when I lose 20 pounds, when I find the perfect partner, when I retire and finally have time. Each one pushes fulfillment into a distant, conditional future. It treats the present like a waiting room, a place of lack to be endured, but life isn't a waiting room. It's the main hall. The music is playing now. The promotion might bring new challenges, not bliss. The weight loss might not heal your insecurities. Retirement might bring its own emptiness if you haven't learned how to live. By postponing joy, you aren't preparing for happiness. You're practicing its absence. You're becoming an expert in discontent. So here's a prompt, a direct intervention. Identify one single condition you've placed on your own happiness. Be brutally honest. It might be, I'll feel content when my savings hit a certain number. Or I'll allow myself peace when this stressful project is over. Or I'll be happy when my children are finally settled. Name that condition. Now, for just today, practice finding a sliver of contentment without it. This doesn't mean abandoning your goals. It means separating your inner state from their achievement. If your condition is financial today, find contentment in the simple security of a meal, a roof, a moment of quiet. If it's project-based, find contentment in the focused effort of a single hour's work, done with integrity, no matter the outcome. If it's relational, find contentment in sending a simple message of love without needing a specific response to feel okay. You're not giving up on the future. You're claiming your right to peace in the present, which is the only time you can ever actually experience it. This is the wealth that can't be postponed. Project yourself to your final moments. What becomes clear then? The day's noise fades. The small anxieties, the social posturing, all that clutter of wants, it just falls away. What's left is stark and simple. That's the 20th meditation. It uses that imagined endpoint as a lens to bring your current life into a sudden, sharp focus. When you're lost in the fog of daily choice, this is the tool. You ask one question. What would the person I am at the end, the one who's seen it all, what would that person tell me to do right now? Seneca practiced this. He wrote about living as if you were observing your whole life from your final place. He said to imagine looking back on your actions from that point of completion. From there, you can see the whole arc. The time wasted on trivial anger becomes painfully obvious. The moments of courage, they shine. The years spent chasing applause that doesn't matter anymore, they appear as a diversion. That future self has a clarity you lack now because they're no longer caught in the temporary stakes of the present. They see what was truly meaningful in the long story. And you can consult that wiser self anytime. It's like having an advisor who knows the final chapter of your book, who can tell you which plot threads are worth following now. So how do you use this in a real, modern dilemma? Take a common one, a career change. You're in a stable job, but it feels empty. A passion project calls, but it's risky. The present is filled with practical fears, mortgage payments, health insurance, what people will think. Now apply the lens, fast forward to your final reflections. From that quiet place, looking back over the decades, which choice carries more weight? Will you regret more the security you kept or the dream you never pursued? The future self likely isn't focused on the size of the paycheck. They're focused on the feeling of aliveness, the integrity of following a calling, the lessons learned even in failure. They might say the fear of a temporary financial dip mattered far less than the decades of soul-numbing routine you accepted out of that fear, or apply it to a personal conflict. A falling out with a family member over something that felt huge at the time, a disagreement about politics or an inheritance or a past hurt. From the end point, that disagreement shrinks. What looms large is the lost time, the missed conversations, the warmth that was sacrificed for the sake of being right. The future self would likely advise letting go of the need to win the argument and choosing instead to win back the relationship before the clock runs out on the chance entirely. Here is your reflective prompt, your direct line to that clarity. Think of one current challenge, a decision you're avoiding, a resentment you're nursing, a change you're afraid to make. Now take a pen and paper or open a note on your phone. Write one sentence, just one. Write it as a piece of advice from your 80-year-old self or your final, wisest self to the person you are right now. Address your present self by name. Speak with the kindness and the unshakable clarity of someone who sees the whole story. It might sound something like, "Let go of that grudge, it is poisoning only you." Or, "Start the project, the world needs your voice." Or, "Call her today, time is more fragile than you think." Write that sentence down, read it aloud. That sentence is the lens. It is the clarity of the end, speaking directly into the confusion of your now. A canvas without edges is just cloth. And a life without end would have no definition. The limits we fight against are what give our story its shape. Mortality is the frame. It encloses the painting, gives it borders, makes it a complete work instead of an endless blur. The Stoics saw limitations not as curses but as the condition for meaning. Death defines the game. Knowing there's a final whistle changes how you play. It introduces stakes, it demands strategy, it turns participation into a craft. Epictetus spoke to this. He said difficulties reveal character, and then he gave an instruction. He told his students to make creative use of obstacles. For a lame man, that's a leg. For a person with a limited life, that's time. The limitation isn't the enemy of your action. It's the raw material. A sculptor isn't frustrated by the marble. The constraint is the birthplace of the statue. The boundaries of the stone force decisions. They reveal the form inside. Your limited time does the same for your life. It forces you to choose what to carve away and what to reveal. Marcus Aurelius reflected on the beauty of the mortal creature. He wrote, "Observe how all things are born from change. The cosmic order loves to alter what exists and make new things." He saw a single human life as part of that cycle. A rose is not less beautiful because it wilts. Its temporary nature is part of its perfection. Its fragility commands our attention, our care. In the same way, knowing a conversation is short makes you put down your phone. You listen with your whole being. The ticking clock doesn't spoil the moment, it consecrates it. You see this everywhere. A writer with infinite time often writes nothing. Give that writer a deadline and creativity ignites. The constraint of time focuses the mind. It forces choices. it births sentences. An athlete doesn't train better with an endless season. They peak for the championship game. The defined event gives all the prior sweat its meaning. A weekend visit carries a special sweetness because you know Sunday is coming. You don't waste hours on small talk. You dive into the deep conversations. The limitation of days compresses and intensifies the joy. So here's a shift. Look at the limitations in your life not as barriers, but as the frame of your canvas. Your challenge is to create a picture within these edges. Name one specific limitation right now. It could be time, 1 free hour each evening. It could be a resource, a tight budget. It could be a skill, you're a beginner. Now, instead of lamenting it, brainstorm. How could this limitation be used as a creative constraint? If you only have 1 hour, that forces radical prioritization. What is the one thing in that hour that would most move your life forward? If your budget is small, it forces ingenuity. What simple solution can you design that a large budget would have blinded you to? If you're a beginner, your lack of skill forces a focus on fundamentals. What mastery of the basics could this season grant you that rushing ahead would have missed? The frame isn't the enemy of the art. It's what makes the art possible. Your mortality, your limited days are the frame. They make your choices matter. They give your love its urgency and your work its weight. The house can crumble, but the tenant inside stays undisturbed. That tenant is your rational soul. The Stoics had a word for it, the hegemonikon, your guiding principle. It's the part of you that watches, that judges, that makes choices. Your body, that physical house, it ages, it gets sick. Eventually it returns to nature. But this inner tenant, it has a different kind of strength. Its strength isn't about years. It's about integrity. Its freedom isn't given by circumstance. It's claimed through discipline. The whole point of a Stoic life is to fortify that inner citadel, so that no outside event, not even the end of life, can force it to surrender its peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this constantly. He said the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. That wasn't mystical. He meant your core self is shaped by what you choose to dwell on. If you fill your mind with fears of loss, with complaints about fate, your inner space becomes dark, cramped. But if you train it to see with reason, to focus on what's in your power, then your inner space becomes luminous, unshakable. He reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize that, and you find strength. That strength is the sovereignty of the soul. It's the ability to look at the crumbling walls of the physical house and say, this doesn't define the tenant. I am still here, conscious and free in my judgments. Epictetus taught this. He was born without physical freedom. He drew a circle. Inside the circle, he put what's up to us, our opinions, our impulses, our desires and aversions. That's the true self. Outside the circle, everything else, our body, our possessions, our reputation, even our life, those are not ourselves, they're externals. He said we are not our body, we are not our possessions, we are the faculty that uses them. When you confuse the external for the self, you chain your happiness to things that can be broken or taken. But when you identify solely with that inner faculty of choice, you find a liberty that can't be revoked. Even if the body is imprisoned, the mind can be free. Even if the body is failing, the soul can choose its stance. History gives us examples. Seneca, ordered to take his own life by Nero, he got the news. His external world collapsed, his power, his future, his physical existence. But his writings, the accounts of his final hours, show a man focused on the inner. He spent his last moments consoling his grieving friends, discussing philosophy, meeting the end not with panic, but with a calm acceptance of nature's decree. He showed the tenant was undisturbed, even while the house was being dismantled. Or Cotto the Younger, after the defeat of his cause, he chose to end his life rather than live under a tyranny. His composure was so profound that after a first wound, he calmly corrected his own medical care, then proceeded with his intention. his contemporaries saw it not as a desperate act, but as a final, unyielding assertion of his inner principle. His freedom, these figures weren't superhuman, they were practitioners. They'd trained their inner tenant through daily discipline, so when the ultimate test came, the citadel held. Which leads to a question for you. What does your inner citadel look like? What are its non-negotiable principles? If everything external were stripped away, your title, your comforts, your plans, your health, what values would remain as your foundation? Is it honesty, the refusal to lie even if it costs you? Is it courage, the capacity to face fear without being defined by it? Is it compassion, the commitment to kindness even when you receive none? Take a moment, describe it, even just to yourself. Name the one or two principles that form the bedrock of your sovereignty, because when you know what your citadel is built on, you can start the daily work of fortifying it. You strengthen it not in the dramatic moments, but in the small, daily choices, to act with integrity, to return to reason after anger, to choose what's right over what's easy. That's how the tenant prepares so that no storm, not even the final one, can disturb its peace. Your attention is the capital of your life. Where are you bankrupting it? This is the 23rd meditation, an economy of awareness. The Stoics had a foundational practice. They called it prosauch, a vigilant attention to the present moment. It's the bedrock of all their wisdom because your attention is the currency. You trade it for your experience of life. You spend it second by second. And you can't get a refund. Mortality's lesson is stark. Every moment of scattered attention, every wasted moment, is a piece of your finite existence. You will never recover it. It's life spent without a return. Epictetus taught this vigilance over our impressions. He said the first task of a philosopher is to test impressions. Don't let a stray thought seize your mind unchallenged, or a distracting worry, or a provoking comment. He warned, don't let the force of an impression carry you away. Say to it, wait, let me see what you are, let me see where you come from. This is the investor's due diligence. Before you spend your mental capital on an impression, you examine it. Is this a fact or just an interpretation? Is this within my power or outside it? Is this worthy of my limited focus? Marcus Aurelius echoed this. He wrote to himself, do not be scattered. Don't be pulled in all directions. Set yourself to the task at hand and do it with dignity. He was fighting the ancient version of multitasking, the mind's tendency to flutter. From past regret to future anxiety, missing the present entirely, now consider the modern marketplace, the marketplace for your attention. We live in an attention economy. A term that would have chilled the Stoics. It's a designed system. Platforms profit by capturing your focus, by holding it. Endless scrolling, auto-playing videos. Notifications engineered to trigger a dopamine response. These aren't neutral tools. They're sophisticated mechanisms. They trade your most precious resource, your moments of life, for advertising revenue. For data, the return on that investment for you is often emptiness, comparison, a fragmented mind. The 24-hour news cycle operates the same way. It feeds on anxiety. It sells you crises you cannot solve. It drains your calm without offering any real agency, and multitasking, that badge of modern busyness. It's often just rapid task switching. It leaves you exhausted, having completed nothing well, your attention fractured into ineffective pieces. So here's a practical audit. A way to see your own balance sheet. For the next hour of your day, become the accountant of your attention. You don't need to change anything at first. Just observe, just track. Where does your focus go? To the work on your screen, to a daydream about the weekend, to checking your phone for the 10th time, to rehearsing a difficult conversation, to listening to a podcast while also cooking dinner. Note each shift, then after the hour, label each focus. Was it a worthy investment? Did it build something of value, knowledge, skill, connection, peace? Or was it a trivial expense, a distraction that passed the time but left no meaningful residue? Be honest, not judgmental. This isn't about labeling yourself as good or bad. It's about seeing the flow of your capital. You might find that a full third of your mental currency is being spent on a worry loop. A worry about something you cannot control. That's a massive loss, an unrecoverable loss. You might see that the 5-minute social media check quietly consumed 20 minutes. 20 minutes of your life, leaving behind only a faint sense of lack. This simple audit creates awareness, and awareness is the first step toward sovereignty. Once you see where the leaks are, you can choose to patch them. You can decide, with the weight of your limited days in mind, to invest your next hour's capital more intentionally. To place it on a single, meaningful task, or on a real conversation, or on simply being present with your own breath. That choice is how you reclaim your wealth. To die well, the Stoics practiced letting go, every day, letting go of everything. It's the 24th meditation, the practice of release, and it's a skill built through repetition. A rehearsal for that final act of surrender. It comes from that core idea, the dichotomy of control. It's about holding things with an open palm. Not a clenched fist. You can cherish something, you can tend to it, but you have to be ready at any moment to give it back. Your grip has to be light enough to open. Epictetus gave the clearest instruction. He said, about everything you are fond of, remember to tell yourself what sort of thing it is. Start with the things of least value. A jug you like, remind yourself it is a jug, so when it breaks you will not be disturbed. Move up from there. A child, a spouse, your own body. He taught this shift in language. Do not say, I have lost my child. Say instead, I have given my child back. Do not say, I have lost my wife. Say, I have given her back. This isn't cold. It's accurate, profoundly accurate. Nothing was ever truly owned. Everything was on loan. The practice of release is the conscious acknowledgement of that loan. It's the daily mental act of unclenching your hand. So when life asks for something back, your heart is already practiced in the motion of letting go. And this applies to outcomes, not just objects or people. You work hard on a project, you pour your energy into it, you have a vision for how it should turn out. The Stoic practice is to release your attachment to that specific outcome the moment your work is done. You controlled your effort, your integrity, your focus. You do not control the reception, the market, the final result. Holding tightly to a desired outcome is like throwing a ball and then trying to control its arc with your mind. It creates frustration, anxiety, a sense of personal failure when the world doesn't conform to your script. Releasing the outcome means you can take pride in the quality of your throw. Regardless of where the ball lands, think of modern applications, a missed opportunity. You interview for a dream job, you prepare perfectly, you give it your all. And then you get the rejection email. The natural reaction is to clench, to replay the interview, to obsess over what you said wrong, to tie your worth to that single no. The practice of release is to acknowledge the disappointment, feel it fully, and then consciously open your hand to say, I gave back my chance. I return it to the universe of possibilities. My effort was mine, the result was not. This release frees your energy. It frees your energy to look for the next path, which might be better suited. But you would have missed it if you were still gripping the last one, or the natural ending of a life phase. A child leaves for college. A parent retires from a long career. These are not losses, they are returns. You are giving back the daily presence of your child so they can become their own person. You are giving back the identity of the worker so you can discover who you are beyond the title. The pain of the transition comes from the grip, from the identity we formed around what is now changing. The practice is to feel the bitter sweetness. And then to loosen the fingers, to make space for the new relationship, the new chapter. The empty nest is not an emptiness, it is a room cleared. cleared for a new kind of connection. So here is a rehearsal, a direct one. Identify one thing you're gripping too tightly right now. It could be a goal, a specific income level, a publishing deal, a fitness target. It could be a possession, your car, your home, a piece of art. It could be a relationship dynamic. The need for a partner to act a certain way, for a friend to always be available. Name it quietly to yourself. Now, for just 5 minutes, practice mentally releasing it. Don't think of destroying it or pushing it away. Simply visualize yourself holding this thing in your open palm. You appreciate its presence. You feel its weight. And then you slowly turn your hand over. You let it fall gently back into the stream of life from which it came. You watch it drift away. You feel the sensation in your hand. The lightness, the openness, the object, the goal. The person is still in your life, or it is not, but your relationship to it has changed. You are no longer its owner, desperate to keep it. You are its temporary steward, grateful for its presence and prepared for its return. This small mental exercise is the muscle memory for freedom. It prepares you not for an end, but for a graceful participation, a participation in the endless flow of giving and receiving. A life isn't judged by its final chord, it's judged by the harmony of the whole composition. This is the 25th meditation, the Unfinished Symphony. It asks us to measure a life differently, not by how long it lasted or how complete it seems, but by its resonance, its quality. The Stoics had a concept, katorthoma, a perfectly right action, an action done with complete virtue. That single act is itself a complete achievement. It doesn't need a sequel. It doesn't require a grand finale to make it worthwhile. A moment of courage, a decision made with perfect integrity, a gesture of pure compassion. These are notes of such clarity, they make a symphony complete. No matter how many more notes follow, the symphony isn't about reaching a final crescendo. It's about the truth in every note you actually play. Marcus Aurelius used a stage metaphor. He wrote to remember you are an actor in a play. The play is of whatever length the director wishes. If he wishes you to play a beggar, play even that part well. Your business is to play the part you are given well. Selecting the part belongs to another. He's telling himself and us that our control lies in the quality of our performance now, not in the length of the script. You might leave the stage after one scene, or you might have a long, leading role. The director for him, that was the logos. Nature makes that call. Your job is to deliver your lines with conviction while you're on the boards. An actor who delivers one powerful monologue and exits has contributed something whole. Their performance isn't incomplete because they missed the curtain call. Now apply this to the unfinished projects in your own life. That novel you started but never published, it sits in a drawer. You might see it as a failure, a thing incomplete, but through this lens, its value isn't in the published book. Its value is in the discipline you built writing those chapters, the clarity you found about your own thoughts, the moments of flow, losing yourself in creation. That creative energy was a real note in your symphony. It shaped you. It doesn't cease to be meaningful because the world never heard it. Or a career path you left. You trained for years in one field, then pivoted. It's easy to see those early years as wasted time, a detour. But what if they weren't a detour at all? What if they were a movement in your symphony? That career taught you patience or a specific logic, how to work on a team. It gave you stories. It built resilience. The fact you didn't retire from that field doesn't erase the virtue you cultivated while you were in it. The notes you played there still resonate in who you are now. Even relationships that ended, not with a neat conclusion but with a slow fading. We often frame these as failures, unfinished business. But what if we listened for the music that was actually made during that duet? The love that was shared, the support given, the ways you grew because of that person. Those are real notes, permanent contributions to the composition of your character. The relationship ending doesn't delete the beauty of the melody you played together for a time. It just means that particular duet reached its natural conclusion. So here's a prompt. Find one unfinished area of your own life, one symphony that feels to you like it stopped mid-phrase. It could be an educational path you didn't finish, a hobby you set aside, a dream you let go of, a connection that drifted without closure. Look at it not with the eyes of a critic judging an incomplete work, but with the ears of a composer listening for the music that was made. What notes of value were played? What virtue did you exercise? Did you show dedication in the practice? Curiosity in the learning, vulnerability in the connection, honor in the letting go. Find the completeness within the fragment. See the whole, beautiful note within what you once called an incomplete measure. That note, that moment of quality, is your achievement. It is the harmony in your composition, and a life filled with such notes, however many or few, is a symphony that needs no final, resolving chord to be whole. The thread through all 25 meditations isn't dark. It's a tool of real clarity. Mortality isn't a shadow to fear. It's a lens that brings the details of your life into sharp focus. It creates urgency, but without panic. It shows you what's truly valuable by showing you what can't last. And in that, you find the path to virtue, the only thing that does last. That's the shift from seeing time as an enemy, always running out, to seeing it as a friend that whispers reminders to live well now. These aren't distant concepts, they're exercises. Each one is a practice, a mental and emotional practice, a way to train your perception, to build your inner citadel day by day. Marcus Aurelius, near his own end, gave a final piece of guidance. He wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." That's the calm impression, not a fight against the inevitable, a wholehearted embrace of the journey itself, the people, the duties, the fleeting beauty. All of it. So as we close, a prompt for your own application. Look back over the 25 meditations. Let one of them call to you, the one that stirs something, or the one that feels most needed right now. Choose just one. Commit to practicing it deeply in the coming week, not as a thought experiment, as a lived filter for your decisions and your attention. Will it be the view from above to gain perspective, the memento mori to create urgency, the practice of letting go to find freedom? Choose your tool. We'd love to hear which meditation resonated most. Share your choice in the comments. Let's build a community around this practical wisdom. And if you found this journey valuable, consider subscribing. For more guides like this, more journeys into philosophy you can use to build a life of purpose and peace. Thank you for listening, and remember, your time is your most precious material. Craft something beautiful with it.